Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and welcome back to my meadow. It is time for our monthly full garden tour. It's September 2022, and if you're new here, I am growing on 1/4 acre in zone 9A in Northeast Florida. I've been learning to grow over the last few years and started my YouTube channel to share sort of my growing experience. Things that I do are far from perfect. I try to share those mistakes as often as I can. But today we're just gonna walk around and see what's happening here in between the spring and summer garden, getting ready for fall. But because I am here in Northeast Florida, I have 300 days of growing between the frost days, but mostly I can grow year-round here. Let's go take a walk around. Before we hit the garden, I just wanted to show you all the creek first. If you watched yesterday's video, and I'll be sure to put a link to the video showing you what was going on with the creek after a big rainstorm, here we are just a little more than 24 hours later. The creek is already back down about 2.5 or 3 feet. Now, let's hit the garden. Here we are up in the front garden. The Asian wing bean is continuing to grow and vine. We haven't had a lot of beans off of here this week, but I haven't really been out and looking. I was giving it a chance to recoup after falling over, but the strings that I used are holding up really, really well. One of the things that I had hoped to do was use this sweet potato vine. I might get some sweet potatoes out of it, but I'm also hoping to use it as a bit of mulch cover for this area to help me suppress weeds. Now, a lot of people would be freaking out if they saw a paper wasp nest in the garden, but the wasps are part of the insect plan, a part of the ecosphere out here, and they do their share of clearing pests that would otherwise eat my food. So, my plan for the wasps, as long as they are not in an area where I can get stung or are around our front door or back door, we pretty much leave them alone, let them do their thing. This wee little mini pepper has been out here, and I get a couple of peppers off of it every once in a while. But I had an empty pot and I had an extra plant, and so I just made do. And we've had a few peppers off of that, even though it sort of is abused and abandoned and neglected up here. It does get some afternoon sun, and sometimes I remember to throw some water on it. Of course, with all the rain we've had in Florida the last few weeks, I haven't had to do very much watering at all. Up here in the pollinator garden, my horse mint has taken the brunt of all the storms we've had, so I need to figure out a way to see if I can get it lifted up just a little bit without breaking it off. It is pretty brittle once it starts growing out, but it smells amazing, and the pollinators do not seem to care that it's on the ground. They just want some of that good flower. It's really taken a beating up here, but I don't care. I have enjoyed loveliness up here for months and months and months. I'm saving the seeds where I can, and I look forward to replanting this out next year with even more loveliness. We're talking about making a tea garden here. If y'all have ever grown a tea garden, I would welcome some suggestions. I think it would be kind of fun to have things that we can come out and pick and then just brew a pot of tea. Hello, Mr. Caterpillar. Hello. It's hard to capture on camera, but these have so much activity, and I've discovered a new guest that I never thought of as a pollinator before, and I have love bugs out here, and that, my friend, is a love bug. We've done a good bit of cleanup on this side since the last garden tour, and the thing that you can really notice here is that some of the comfrey has just come back as gangbusters. We're getting enough to have a little bit of okra each day. In fact, I almost let this one get too big. When it snaps off easily, it's a little woody for raw right now. When it snaps off easily, I like to just have a snack in the garden. There's a little bitty one right here. Itty bitty. If you have not tried raw okra, you really should. It's delicious. It is delicious. Yummy. It's the best part about these garden tours. I can have a little snack while I'm walking around. Yesterday I saw a praying mantis for the first time in my life, and the only time I've ever seen one in my garden. So I'm very excited about that. Now, everyone always wants to know how the banana plants are doing. I would say they are thriving. We harvested one bunch last weekend, so I need to come back in here now and cut the mother down, and in fact I need to cut another mother down as well. We have two, but I have a new saw I'm going to try that with, so I'll be sure to set up the camera when I do that. And we still have one more rack here, a smaller rack. And the largest rack we've seen so far yet. So these are numbers 3 and 4 as far as how many bananas we've had since we originally planted this and started this just over 2 years ago in this spot. Here are our yam bed and sweet potato and longevity spinach bed. The yams have had some interesting things happen. The leaves have not been terribly happy in some places. We've had a little more loss than I expected, but it seems to be rebounding now and looking a lot better. Of course, it's had plenty of rain. The other thing that I should point out here that I'm really happy with is this is our pomegranate tree. I had to take it up out of the ground because it was just too wet and it was not thriving. But at the same time that I mulched over these beds with the pine, I went ahead and put the pet litter bedding, the pine bedding, on this as a mulch too. And since that time, between that and the rain, it has really started shooting up. And I think it was this tall, so maybe to right here, it's all started coming up and getting bigger and sturdier and stronger. And so I'm glad to see that. I think the mulch is helping it with not letting the moisture evaporate and giving some coolness to the roots of it. In the cedar raised bed, I planted out some Asian long beans. In the last 10 days or so, I have harvested 3 full meals of beans off of this, and I can look over there right now and see that it is time to harvest some more, and it just is going gangbusters over here. And the whole point of this was to help put some nitrogen back in the soil here, and at the same time we benefit from food. So we let the beans, legumes be the nitrogen fixer, and then they will create through a biological process more nitrogen in the bed, and then when we're ready to plant the next thing, it's got increased nutrition in the soil. On the Asian long beans, I want to show you this. See how nice and thick and chunky this is? My wife says this is too big. She won't cook with it when it's this size. She wants the size of the pod to be before the beans really start filling in. Can you see the difference? Behind the bed in a pot, and I've never really talked about this plant, is a moringa. And it is really thriving now, though I have no idea what I should be doing with it. It is in a pot. I suspect it would probably do better if it was in a bigger pot, but through summer it really just shot up. So this is the size pot that the moringa is in. I didn't realize it was falling over. I'm not sure what's happened underneath the soil there. I'll have to check that out. But here's my hand for reference. So 4-gallon pot or a 3-gallon pot. Oh, goody. I had some Asian long beans that I didn't see growing over here, and now they've dried. And so I'm gonna save these. The ones that have sprouted, I may stick in the grounds, but if they haven't sprouted, I'm gonna put them in my seed saving because I should, and I see some on the ground. Let me get those while I'm here. I posted on Instagram about this today, so it's funny that I found some more. Actually, look here. That, my friends, is a bean sprout. So I can take these that are split open and soaked here, and I'm gonna just plant them back in the garden bed where I already have some beans growing. Makes sense to me. Let's take advantage of them here. I am going to have to do something new that I have never done before in the garden. So I think it's kind of funny, and I'll show you why and explain it to you. In 2 different places I'm gonna have to do this. Check this out. This is my okra. I can no longer reach the okra to harvest it. So I'm gonna have to get a step stool or a ladder to get out here and harvest it. We will see. The rain has made a mess of the guava here. I think these are lemon guava. I don't think this is the Fajoya we are seeing other people talking about. That's a hedge, though it's probably in the same family. Apparently they grow this in some areas as a hedge, which I could totally see that if you planted it just right. It'd be a good hedge, but I like to bite the end of it off. Inside it's very seedy, so I tend to just squeeze it out like that and pull the pulp into my mouth. Oh, that was nice and sweet. The passion fruit has finally bloomed, so I'm excited about that. Now, I wonder if we have any fruit actually coming on here. Let's get a little closer look. One of the viewers says that hers opens and closes every day. I only saw mine open on one day, and I never saw it open again. I guess time will tell if some fruit will grow out of where the blooms were. I did not come out and pollinate it. I guess I didn't realize it blooms for one day. If you guys have some advice on the passion fruit, I would certainly love that and appreciate that, because I just don't know. Mom just plants stuff and it does its thing. But she has even more pollinators and things than we do here. I'm often kind of jealous because it feels like I try really hard and she doesn't really try at all, and she does an awesome job. So Mom, if you're watching, thank you. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for the inspiration. I am very lucky. Technically, she is my mother-in-law, but I like to say mother-in-love. And I am so lucky. A person could not ask for a better in-law to love them and support them and just embrace them. And so, thank you, Mom. I love you. I appreciate it. And look, Mom, another flower. Look, there's another flower right there, too. So, the thing that's interesting about the passion fruit to me is that it didn't start flowering until after it got defoliated. And so maybe the defoliation is a signal to the plant that it better get busy or it's going to be gone. I don't know. You guys any thoughts on that? Truly, I would love your advice on the passion fruit. Last time we looked back here, I just had the one sandbank here. Now it's a big sandbank all the way around, and the yard guy cleared this enough we can actually take a walk back there and see it from back there. Typically right here at the creek during the drier months, this is crossable with shoes on without getting your feet wet. And if you look straight into the woods on the other side, how it's clear right there, I suspect that this, because it does stay walkable right here, I suspect that this is a game trail where the animals frequent back and forth across the creek. When it's not raining quite so much, I may set my camera up out here so we can take a look and just be nosy. Since the last garden tour, I have lemons. I've got a satsuma, even some Meyer lemons. And the beauty berries are coming into their color and really telling you why they are called beauty berry. These are our metal raised garden beds, our Vigo and our Birdies, and we're sort of in between. Like the Thai eggplant keep giving. The tomatillos look like they might be on the way out, but now they have all these new blossoms on them. In the Birdies bed, I planted basil and sweet potatoes. I would say it is continuing to do just fine over here. And for the first time, the tomatillos on this one are really starting to produce after being there at the same time. In fact, I planted those before I planted the other ones. So I don't know if it's just something different, but that is the way the garden grows sometimes. Look here, I didn't even see you. Another surprise cucumber, hooray. Hooray, hooray. I'm gonna let that one keep growing a little bit more. I do wonder if growing the cucumbers among the tomatillo has created some confusion in the smells, and that's helped make it a little harder for the moth to find the cucumbers. Or maybe it's just not as much in season right now for it to come and lay its eggs. If you know that, I welcome that in the comments as well, my friends. I know a few times now I've said I need to do something about this bed, but right now I've got tomatoes where I left them and didn't do anything with them. So tomato, 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 tomato. Thought there was one more. I don't know, what's that, 6 or 7 tomatoes right here from my negligence. I have heard another permaculture person talk about their growing style as stun, S-T-U-N, simple, total, utter neglect. So I'm just going to gently swing the camera around. Let's see if we can capture this wildlife, quote unquote wildlife, in one of his favorite hiding spots. How's his camouflage? Can you see him? Moose. Moose, what you doing? Are you guarding the plants? Oh, are you guarding the plants? The sweet potatoes are starting to bloom. I don't know if that's a sign that it's time to start unearthing them. If you know that, I welcome that in the comments as well. Might be time to start unearthing a few of them. I know here in Florida we can let them go and grow. In fact, I had many that I overwintered and just came and picked them, and they weren't terribly big. I mean, they were bigger, but they weren't like inedible big. They were just like a child, toddler football size, which was delicious, frankly. Here's the other place I'm gonna need a ladder. I can no longer reach the top of the motherland okra, and it is finally putting on pods. Speaking of stun, I don't show this garden bed much because it really was just supposed to be a garden in waiting. I haven't planted anything in this bed this year except for 4 tomato plants. All the beans are a throwback to last year trying to raise the nutrition in this bed, raise the nitrogen in this bed. The sweet potatoes are all from where I left some sweet potatoes in the ground inadvertently, not knowing, and they're growing up there. The Malabar spinach is completely self-seeded. And the one plant that did not come back until now, that I've been waiting on all summer, right here, this is an Egyptian spinach. It's really great in soup. I don't really like it in a salad. It has that same taste like an okra, and so it gives soup a really nice gooiness, some breadth. But I know for sure that it's that plant because it has these really cool wings on the back. And so this is an edible that I expected to be perpetual, and I threw a bunch of seeds out here, but it did not retake like I expected, like it had the year before. I don't know, maybe I'll let this go to flower and see if I can get the seeds and try again. Moose, where are you going? He keeps a close eye on me when I'm out walking around the garden. I appreciate it. It's nice to have my own little personal bodyguard. And if you've watched this channel for a minute, you know that probably early on I didn't have quite as much fondness for Moose, but he has definitely grown on me. I don't know, he's just so darn adorable. I guess my hard heart is changing. What can I tell you? I guess you can teach an old lady new tricks. So we cut all this down about 10 days or so ago, and it was cut back to the ground, except right at the trellises. But it doesn't seem to mind, it just keeps coming back. So maybe we'll get some food out of here after all. It's been almost long enough for me not to worry about any deposits from the animals, and I haven't seen any new deposits in a long time. So who knows, maybe we'll just make it through and have some sweet potatoes out of this bed after all. Green stalk is definitely underutilized still, but I've been transplanting some basil in here, and I've let the cilantro go to seed. And one of the fun things that I've been able to do is, as the cilantro dries up, I am just going pocket to pocket to pocket and planting it, so I'll have more. The dill is really starting to look delicious. I didn't really grow it to eat, I grew it for the pollinators, and I can see that it's starting to seed at the top. It looks really cool from underneath, I think. It makes a really cool looking picture. I would say that my tomatoes I gathered a month and a half ago or so would like to get planted in the ground, and so that's on near plans. And have a second crop of tomatoes this year. These are cuttings from plants that were grown last winter. And it looks like we're going to get another shot at dragon fruit this year. We had 2 flower buds on. One of them I can see now is letting go. And so we'll have just a shot at one more. I don't know if we'll get more this season before the season's up, but I'm happy to have another try. The last ones we tried, I did not get them pollinated well, but I assure you this time, I'm going to stick my hand in there and I'm just going to grab and shake and rub. I saw somebody do that on another channel, and so I'm just going to give it a shot. I see a Gulf fritillary fritillarying around the passion fruit. All right, that's what's growing on here in our September 2022 garden tour. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to know what's growing on here all the time, feel free to subscribe to the channel and maybe even hit that bell notification so you'll know next time I upload a video. Until next time, my friends, remember to wear a high quality sunscreen and drink plenty of water. Have a fantastic day. Caterpillar poop means caterpillars. That is a Gulf fritillary caterpillar.